You are making a mistake right now. And I'm not saying that to shame you. I'm saying it to wake you up. The mistake is thinking that nothing is happening because you can't see anything happening. The mistake is believing silence means absence. The mistake is scrolling past messages like this, thinking, this is nice, but it's not for me. Listen to me closely. This message found you on purpose. I need you to slow down, breathe, and really listen. Because if you rush through this, if you treat this like background noise, you might miss the very confirmation you've been begging God for. I'm not here to waste your time. I am here to speak directly to you, to your situation, to your questions, to that quiet anxiety you haven't told anyone about. I know you've watched a lot of videos. I know you've listened to sermons, podcasts, advice from people who swear they have the answers. And still, you're waiting. Still, you're unsure. Still, part of you wonders, is God really doing anything in my life right now? I've been there. I remember seasons where I prayed hard, believed deeply, and saw nothing change on the surface. And that's exactly why I need you to hear this. Miracles are happening now, even if your eyes can't see them yet. Don't click away. Don't half listen. Stay with me until the end, because this isn't just encouragement. This is instruction. This is alignment. This is a recalibration of how you see your life, your delays, your closed doors, and the new doors God is opening right now. Some messages inspire you for a moment. This one is meant to shift you. Ask yourself this honestly. What if the very thing you're calling a delay is actually divine setup? What if God is working so precisely behind the scenes that if He revealed it too early, it would overwhelm you or even derail you? You've been asking for clarity, but God has been asking for trust. You've been asking for proof, but God has been shaping your faith. I'm speaking to you as someone who has questioned, doubted, waited, and wrestled with God in the quiet hours. I'm speaking to you as someone who learned, sometimes the hard way, that God does His deepest work in the unseen places. And if you let this message sink in, if you stay open, if you listen with your heart and not just your ears, you'll realize something powerful by the end. You are not stuck. You are being prepared. So stay with me. Listen carefully. Let every word land, because what you're about to hear isn't random motivation. It's a reminder that heaven is already in motion on your behalf. But here's the part most people miss. If you could see what's happening right now and the unseen, your fear would lose its grip instantly. What feels empty is actually full. And once you realize where God has been working, everything about your waiting will change. Let me tell you something you need to hear today, even if it challenges how you feel right now. God is working, even when you don't see evidence of it. I know it doesn't feel that way. I know your prayers seem to hit the ceiling. I know the timeline in your head has already expired. But what you call nothing happening, God calls preparation. I've learned this personally. There were moments in my life where everything felt delayed, answers, progress, breakthroughs. I thought God was saying no, or worse, staying silent. But looking back, I see it clearly now. He was arranging details I couldn't see, aligning people I hadn't met yet, and protecting me from outcomes I wasn't ready for. You see, heaven doesn't operate on your clock. God is not rushed, careless, or late. His timing is intentional. Ecclesiastes 3:11 says He makes everything beautiful in its time. Not your time, His time. And that truth stretches your patience because it forces you to trust without full visibility. Right now, you might feel like you're in a waiting room. But I need you to understand something. Waiting rooms in God's kingdom are not empty spaces, they are workrooms. Heaven is active even when your circumstances look still. Angels don't stop moving because you feel discouraged. God doesn't pause his plan because you're confused. Spiritual breakthroughs almost always begin long before you see any natural results. Before David ever touched the throne, he was hidden in fields. Before Joseph saw the palace, he walked through betrayal and prison. And before your breakthrough becomes visible, God is building something in you. Strength, humility, endurance, discernment. I know you want answers now. I know you want movement now. But what if God is doing a deeper miracle than the one you're asking for? What if he's not just changing your situation, but changing you so you can sustain what's coming? Romans 8:28 tells us that God works all things together for good for those who love him. Not some things. Not just the easy seasons. All things. The confusion. The waiting. The closed doors. The disappointments that didn't make sense at the time. None of it is wasted. So if your life feels quiet right now, don't interpret that as abandonment. Silence doesn't mean God is absent. It often means he's focused. Focused on details you can't see yet. Focused on outcomes that will make sense later. You don't need to panic. You don't need to force doors open. You don't need to compare your journey to anyone else's. What you need is trust. Deep, grounded trust that says, even if I don't understand what God is doing, I believe he is doing something good. And he is. Right now. Behind the scenes. For you. Now let me ask you something that might unsettle you. What if the breakthrough you're praying for is already standing in front of you, but disguised as a door you're afraid to touch? What if heaven has already answered, and the only question left is whether you'll trust it? Because what God opens next will demand more than agreement. It will demand movement. Let me be direct with you, because this is where many people hesitate and miss what God is doing. The danger is not that God isn't opening doors. The danger is that you hesitate because the door doesn't look the way you expected. You're waiting for certainty, comfort, and full understanding, but God is asking for trust. I've learned this through experience. Some of the biggest shifts in my life didn't come with applause or clarity. They came quietly. They came disguised as discomfort, risk, or change I didn't ask for. And at first, I resisted them. I prayed for God to open doors, but when he did, I questioned them because they stretched me. That's when I realized something powerful. God's open doors often require courage before they offer comfort. Revelation 3:8 says that when God opens a door, no one can shut it. That means no person, no opinion, no obstacle, no past mistake has the authority to cancel what God has authorized. If a door is from him, it carries his backing. But here's the part people don't like to hear. You still have to walk through it. Faith is not standing still waiting for everything to feel safe. Faith is movement. Faith is obedience before understanding. Faith is stepping forward while your hands shake and your heart races, saying, God, I don't see the full picture, but I trust you. Some doors God opens won't come with explanations. They come with invitations. An invitation to grow. An invitation to leave what's familiar. An invitation to trust that God knows what he's doing more than you know what you're losing. Psalm 37:23 says the steps of the righteous are ordered by the Lord. That means your steps, not just your destination, are guided. Even the unfamiliar ones. Even the ones that don't make sense yet. You don't accidentally step into God's will. You step into it by obedience. You might be standing in front of a door right now that scares you. A new responsibility. A new season. A decision that feels bigger than you. And part of you wants to wait until you feel ready. But readiness is not always the requirement. Willingness is. Don't underestimate what happens when you say yes to God, even with unanswered questions. Doors God opens are not traps. They are pathways. Pathways to growth, strength, provision, and purpose. And sometimes, the only confirmation you'll get is peace deep in your spirit, whispering, "This is the way. Walk in it." And this is where it gets even deeper. Because walking through an open door means nothing if your heart still expects disappointment. What you believe right now will determine what you recognize when God moves. And if your faith shifts here, everything after this begins to change. Here's a truth that changed my life. Miracles don't start in your circumstances. They start in your belief. Before anything shifts on the outside, something must awaken on the inside. And that something is faith. I know what it's like to believe God can do miracles, but secretly doubt that He will do one for you. I've been there. I prayed safe prayers. I hoped quietly. I didn't want to expect too much because disappointment hurt too deeply. But God began to show me that expectation isn't arrogance, it's trust. Faith positions your heart to recognize what God is doing. When you expect nothing, you overlook everything. But when you live with expectation, your eyes open. Your spirit becomes alert. You start noticing opportunities, confirmations, and shifts that were always there, but unseen. Matthew 9:29 says, "According to your faith, let it be done to you." That doesn't mean faith earns miracles. It means faith receives them. God responds to belief before circumstances change. Miracles often begin internally. A shift in mindset. A renewed hope. A decision to believe again after disappointment. That internal miracle prepares you to carry the external one. Because if God changed everything around you without strengthening you within, the blessing could crush you. Expectation moves your focus from fear to possibility. Fear says, "What if it doesn't work?" Faith says, "What if God shows up?" Fear looks backward at past failures. Faith looks forward with trust. Hebrews 11:6 tells us that without faith it is impossible to please God. Not because God demands perfection, but because faith is relationship. It's saying, "I trust you even when I don't see you." If you want to see miracles, you must guard your expectation. Don't let cynicism steal it. Don't let past disappointment define your future faith. God is not limited by what didn't work before. He is not intimidated by your history. Miracles are happening now, but you must believe they are possible for you. Not just for others. Not just in testimonies you hear online. For you, right where you are. But there's one force that can stop miracles mid-movement. Not God. Not timing. Not circumstances. It's what you've been carrying quietly from yesterday. And unless it's released, it will try to follow you into what God is opening now. I need you to hear this slowly, clearly, and deeply, because this is where many people get stuck without realizing it. Fear is not always loud. It doesn't always announce itself as panic or anxiety. Most of the time, fear disguises itself as caution, logic, or being realistic. And that's what makes it so dangerous. Fear convinces you that you're being wise, when in reality, it's quietly keeping you from moving forward into what God is doing now. I've lived this. I've carried disappointment longer than I should have. I've let past failures talk me out of future obedience. I told myself I was being careful, but deep down, I was afraid to hope again. Afraid to trust again. Afraid to believe that God could really do something new after what I'd already been through. And maybe that's where you are right now. You tried before. You believed before. You stepped out before. And it didn't work the way you expected. So now, every time God nudges you forward, fear whispers, "Remember what happened last time?" Fear replays old wounds like evidence. But listen to me carefully. Your past disappointment is not a prophecy for your future. God never intended yesterday's pain to become today's prison. Yet fear will do exactly that if you let it. It will keep you looking backward when God is calling you forward. It will convince you that protecting yourself is more important than obeying God. And slowly, without you even noticing, fear will cause you to miss the doors God is opening right now. God's word is clear. He has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. That means fear does not come from Him. It does not carry His voice. It does not reflect His heart toward you. Fear may feel familiar, but familiarity does not equal truth. Here's something I had to learn the hard way. God's new work in your life requires a renewed mindset. You cannot step into new seasons while constantly reliving old ones. You cannot keep measuring what God is doing now by what hurt you then. Healing is not optional, it's preparation. God heals you not just because He cares about your pain, but because He cares about where you're going. Letting go doesn't mean pretending it didn't hurt. It means refusing to let the hurt decide your future. It means saying, "Yes, that happened, but it doesn't get to define me anymore." It means trusting that God is bigger than your worst moment and wiser than your greatest fear. The Apostle Paul said he pressed forward by forgetting what was behind him. That doesn't mean erasing memory. It means breaking agreement. Breaking agreement with shame. Breaking agreement with regret. Breaking agreement with the lie that you missed your chance. You didn't miss it. You're not late. You're not disqualified. God is not done with you. Right now, God is asking you to release fear, not because you're strong enough, but because He is faithful enough. The doors opening in this season are not connected to who you were when you failed. They are connected to who you are becoming as you trust Him again. So let go. Release the weight. Drop the old expectations, the old labels, the old disappointments. Make room. Because what God is opening now requires a heart that is free, not fearful. Here's the truth most people never face. Freedom without action becomes frustration. Healing without movement turns into hesitation. And the moment you decide whether to step forward will define what happens next. Now listen to me carefully, because this is where everything shifts. Knowing that God is working is powerful. Believing that doors are opening is important. Letting go of fear is necessary. But none of it changes your life until you move. Obedience is the bridge between promise and fulfillment. And courage is what allows you to step onto that bridge when you can't see the other side. I want to be honest with you. Obedience is rarely dramatic. It's not always loud or emotional. Most of the time, obedience looks like a quiet decision to trust God when no one is cheering you on. It looks like choosing integrity when shortcuts are easier. It looks like taking a small step forward even when your confidence feels shaky. And those small steps matter more than you realize. I've learned this in my own life. I wanted God to move first. I wanted proof before action. I wanted clarity before commitment. But God kept showing me the same truth again and again. Movement unlocks momentum. Obedience opens doors that hesitation keeps closed. Not because God is withholding, but because obedience positions you to receive what He's already prepared. Courage doesn't mean you're not afraid. Courage means you move anyway. Courage is saying, God, I don't know how this will turn out, but I trust who you are. That kind of courage gets God's attention because it says you believe His character more than you fear uncertainty. The Bible reminds us that the Lord goes before you and will never leave you or abandon you. That means when you take a step forward in faith, you are never stepping alone. God is already there. He has already gone ahead of you, clearing paths you can't see yet, protecting you from things you don't even know to pray about. You don't need to have the whole plan. You don't need to know every detail. You just need to take the next right step. Many people miss major breakthroughs because they underestimate the power of small obedience. But God doesn't. He multiplies it. One faithful step leads to another. One obedient decision leads to alignment. And alignment creates acceleration. I need you to understand something deeply. Delay does not mean denial, but hesitation can delay what obedience would unlock. God responds to movement. Not rushed movement. Not reckless movement, but faithful movement. Movement that says, even if this is unfamiliar, I trust that you are leading me. There is strength released when you choose obedience. God strengthens those who move forward in faith. He meets you in motion. And as you walk, clarity comes. Confidence grows. Fear loosens its grip. You begin to realize that the courage you were waiting for was hidden inside the obedience you were avoiding. You will not be put to shame for trusting God. That's a promise. The enemy wants you to believe that stepping out will embarrass you, expose you, or break you. But God says trust in Him will never end in regret. So walk forward. Not tomorrow. Not when everything feels perfect. Now, with courage, with obedience, with trust. Because the door God opened is not waiting for you to feel ready. It's waiting for you to walk through it. And when you finally move, when obedience meets courage, something sacred happens. What God places in your hands begins to overflow beyond you. What He does in your life starts speaking to others. And how you respond in that moment determines how far this miracle will travel. Now let me bring this all together, because this final truth will protect what God is doing in your life. When God begins to move, when doors open, when miracles start unfolding, your response matters. How you receive, how you praise, and how you speak about what God has done will shape what comes next. I've learned that gratitude is not just a reaction, it's preparation. Gratitude prepares your heart to receive more. When you choose to thank God before everything is complete, you're declaring trust. You're saying, God, I recognize your hand even while I'm still waiting. And that kind of gratitude shifts something in the spiritual atmosphere. Praise does the same thing. Praise shifts your focus from struggle to victory. Not because the struggle instantly disappears, but because praise reminds you who is in control. I've praised God in seasons where nothing made sense. I've worshipped Him while still waiting on answers. And every time, praise lifted my perspective and strengthened my faith. Psalm 34 says, I will bless the Lord at all times. Not only after the miracle, not only when the breakthrough is visible, but at all times. Praise during the waiting is powerful because it declares that God is still good, even before you see the outcome. And then there is testimony. This part is important. What God is doing in your life is not meant to stay silent. Testimony glorifies God and strengthens others. When you speak about what God has done, you remind yourself of His faithfulness and give hope to people who are still waiting. Your story matters. Even the unfinished parts. Even the process. Even the moments where you're still believing. God uses testimony not just to celebrate victories, but to build faith in community. Someone else needs to hear that God met you. Someone else needs to know that waiting wasn't wasted. Receiving, praising, and testifying keeps your heart aligned with God. It keeps pride out and humility in. It keeps fear from returning. And it keeps your focus on the giver, not just the gift. Philippians reminds us that God is faithful to complete the work He began in you. That means what He started, He will finish. You don't have to force it. You don't have to fear it ending halfway. God finishes what He starts. So receive what God is doing with gratitude. Praise Him while you wait and while you walk. Speak of His goodness. Declare His faithfulness. And trust that the miracles happening now are just the beginning. Take a moment after this message. Reflect. Pray. Thank God. And if this spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Speak it. Testify. Because God is opening doors, and you are walking into a new season. Right now, don't rush away from this moment. What you've heard isn't just information. It's an invitation. An invitation to respond, to align your heart, and to step into agreement with what God is already doing in your life. Let's not end this with words alone. Let's turn this into prayer. Wherever you are, I want you to pray with me, out loud if you can, because something shifts when you speak faith with your own voice. Take a breath. Settle your heart. And pray with me. God, right now I come before you. I slow my thoughts, I quiet my spirit, and I become aware of your presence. I thank you that you are near, not distant. I thank you that you are working, even when I cannot see it. I open my heart to you in this moment. I choose to listen, to trust, and to receive. I am here, God. Speak to me. Father, I release every burden I've been carrying. I let go of fear that has held me back. I surrender disappointment from doors that didn't open before. I release impatience, doubt, and silent frustration. I refuse to let my past define my obedience today. I place every worry into your hands. I choose peace over pressure, trust over fear. God, today I declare with my mouth and my heart, I trust you, even when I don't understand. I trust your timing, your plan, and your process. I believe the doors you open cannot be shut. I declare that delays are not denials. I agree with heaven over my life right now. I say yes to what you are doing. Lord, remind me who I am in you. I am chosen, not forgotten. I am guided, not lost. I am prepared, not behind. I am protected as I walk forward. I align my identity with your truth. I step into who you created me to be. God, awaken my faith right now. I choose expectation over fear. I believe miracles are happening now. I believe you are moving behind the scenes for my good. I open my eyes to recognize your hand at work. I receive fresh hope and renewed belief. I expect you to show up. Father, I receive your blessing and your strength. I receive courage to walk through every open door. I receive clarity for my next step. I receive peace as I move forward in obedience. Go before me and make the way clear. I trust you with what's next. And I step forward, confident, covered, and aligned. Amen. And before you move, before you scroll, pause right here. Because what God just stirred in your spirit is not meant to fade. It's meant to flow forward. There is still something sacred unfolding in this moment. And if you stay just a little longer, you'll understand why this message didn't reach you by accident. You need to hear this clearly. What God is opening in your life right now is bigger than you alone. When you choose to stand with this mission, you become part of how light reaches others who are still in darkness. I hear the Father saying, as you sow into this work, I will turn streams into rivers and rivers into harvest. Your giving becomes seed, and seed in God's hands never stays small. It multiplies, it feeds, it ignites faith in places you may never see. I feel this deeply as I speak to you now. I invited you here not only to receive, but to release. This is not pressure. This is appointment. When you support through super thanks, membership, or PayPal, you are fueling fire, carrying oil, and helping the word reach souls who are crying out for hope. I speak blessing over your obedience. May God protect your household, multiply your provision, and open doors no one can shut. Act now. Obey the nudge. Sow into what God is breathing on. Now listen. If this message stirred your spirit, don't keep it quiet. Use the hype feature on this video and push this word forward so it reaches the people God has been preparing to hear it. When you hype this video, you are saying, "Yes, Lord. Let this miracle message travel." And of course, like this video as an act of agreement, because when you engage, you help open doors for others just like God is opening doors for you. Before you go, I want you to do something powerful. Go into the comments and declare it boldly. I trust the doors God is opening. Or write the miracle you are believing for right now. Name it, speak it, don't hide it. And if you have a specific prayer request, leave it there too. We are watching. We are praying. You are not standing alone in this season. Your faith matters and your voice matters. And finally, if you don't want to walk this journey alone, if you want prayer to be your covering, your daily altar, your shield, subscribe to this channel. Amen.